In 1893, Swami Vivekananda went to USA to participate in the World's Parliament of Religions in Chicago. Before going there, Swami Vivekananda traveled all over the country, all over India, and visited many pilgrim centers. One of the centers was Dwarka. He spent a long period in Gujarat. After Porbandar, Swami Vivekananda came to Dwarka as a wandering monk. Dwarka is holy with innumerable memories and legends of Sri Krishna, as you know. Of course, of his glories, nothing remains at present. Dwarka is mentioned in Mahabharata, the Harivansha, the Bhagavad Purana, the Skanda Purana, Vishnu Purana, and other Puranas. It is near the site of the current city of Dwarka. This Dwarka was located near the current city of Dwarka. The original Dwarka is gone. It was eventually deserted and has been submerged into the ocean. The city was built by Vishwakarma on the order of Lord Shri Krishna. The land was reclaimed from the sea near the western shores of Saurashtra. A city was planned and built here. Dwarka was a planned city on the bank of the river Gomati. This city was also known as Dwaramati, Dwaravati, and Kushasthali. Dwarka city believed to have been originally built by Lord Krishna's grandson, Vajranabha, over the Harigraha, that is Lord Krishna's residential palace. Of course, this is the present temple is the seventh one above the other. The first one was built by grandson of Sri Krishna. After Sri Krishna left for Vaikuntha, which is about 36 after the Mahabharata war, is about 3000 BC, and the major Yadava leaders were killed in disputes among themselves. As you know, there was a big fight, and all of them got killed. They killed themselves. Then Arjuna went to Dwarka to bring Sri Krishna's grandsons and the Yadavas' wives to Hastinapur. And then he left Dwarka. All left Dwarka. And then Dwarka was submerged into the sea by the will of the Lord Shri Krishna. In this place, Swami Vivekananda was living, sometimes as a parivrajaka, receiving diksha, sometimes not receiving diksha. But he was always in deep meditation, and he was thinking of the greatness of Sri Krishna and the glories of the Yadavas. Also, he thought of the ruins that were there at that time. And gazing out upon the ocean, his soul rose up in waves of agony at the thought of that India, which was a glorious India. And he was very much sorrowful that nothing now remained except a few ruins of that particular golden city. He sat beside the ocean shore and yearned ardently to stem the tide of another ocean, the ocean of the invasion of foreign culture, which threatened the very existence of Hinduism. Then across the ocean he gazed, trying to fathom, as it were, its vast depths, and trying also to fathom the contents of the future years. Something seems to stir within him in the way of a faint glimmering of hope. But he went on praying. Then, rising from a dream, as it were, he took himself to the monastery founded by Sri Shankaracharya, known as Sardapit. There he was received by the Mahanta and was assigned an apartment among its numerous lonely rooms. That room is no longer there. Most probably it was on the first floor, that what we had seen many years back. But now the whole thing has been demolished. From there, we can see the ocean. He thought of the ages long ago when this monastery was a seat of great learning, and often he was overcome with pity at the departed glory, and tears flowed from his eyes. And there, in the silence of this sail in this Sharda pit, he perceived a great light, as it were, and that was the bright future of India. And from there, Swami Vivekananda went to Bed Dwarka and other places.